Well, I'll say this. You love the improvisation when it works. But the thing that makes it work is the chemistry. Now, we're not encouraging our guys to go out there and do that, and they know that it's detriment to what we're trying to accomplish. Now, for whatever reason, it happened. It happened, and it turned out to be a positive play. The thing that we don't want to do is improvise, and we do something, and it has a negative impact on the outcome. So our guys understand the big picture. They get it. That play happened. They made a great play. When it's all said and done with, we just want to make sure we're playing assignment sound football. We don't want to take away from their personalities, but we also want them to be consistent and disciplined to helping us do it the right way and helping us to win.
So what'd you say to Kelsey?
I'm not going to say exactly what I said, but there was a few choice words. But I will say this, and I was joking about that. They came to me after the game and said, well, Evie, what were you thinking? I said, man, it was one of those, nice job. We'll talk about that later.
But if any guy in your team's going to be doing something like that, do you trust Kelsey maybe more than somebody else just because he's former quarterback, used to handling the ball?
I trust guys that go out and do it the way we're coaching them up to do.
So is that a yes or no?
I'm going to say this. I trust guys to go out there and do it the way we're asking them to do it.
So Travis, go out there and do it the way you asked him to do it.
I'm going to trust the guys to go out there and do it the way we're asking them to do it.
For whatever reason, I mean, it seems like the offense has been a little bit of a second quarter team. Just, do you have any rhyme or reason for just some of the slower starts recently?
You know what? I wouldn't say it's been a slower start. Nobody ever wants to go out there and play not to their best. One thing I will say, we're getting everybody's best shot. Teams are doing a hell of a job of defending us. They're coming out. They're playing hard. They're playing fast. But when it's all said and done, we just got to make sure that we're clicking on all cylinders. A part of that, we got to eliminate the mistakes. We got to make sure that we're doing the things that we need to do in order to help us to be successful. And for whatever reason, we're not getting that done. But is it an issue? No, because sometimes without bad luck, you wouldn't have any good luck. We found out a lot about our team. Our team is defining its character. It's showing who we are and what makes us who we are, because these guys are finding ways to remain poised under pressure, and they're finding ways to persevere through adverse situations.
With Justin Houston, what have you seen on film of him this year, and how much does the knowledge of him over the last 6 years help you trying to neutralize him?
Well, we know Justin can be an impactful pass rusher. He can then be an impactful player against the run. So the thing that we want to do is make sure that, that we're aware of exactly where he is, and he's going to be familiar with some things that we do. So we just want to make sure he's accounted.
Are there things that you have to change, knowing that, again, there's a guy like that who knows your offense so well, and maybe signals or anything like that you got to watch out for?
Well, each and every week you're mindful of that. But at the end of the day, we're going to do what we do.
I know you're obviously a very next man up guy. You'll play with whoever's out there. But just how eager are you to get Tyreek Hill back in the lineup?
Well, we're counting on those guys when they come back. When they come back, we know he'll be ready. But at the end of the day, the guys who are in, they're doing a hell of a job. And the thing that we always say, we're coaching our starters to be the starters, but we're coaching our backups to come in and play like starters. So the expectations are high regardless of who's out there on the field.
Coach, you said it's more or less about the W's and L's. It's considered that Patrick had an off game, so to speak. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, if he had an off game and utilized that 2-minute drive to help us to win, I would say that's a hell of an off game. But one thing, and just so we define this, our guys understand they get the big picture. Yes, he didn't throw a touchdown pass, but you know what? He did a hell of a job of leading. He did a hell of a job of completing some big-time passes when we needed him to do so. But also, too, he commanded the huddle, and then when it was all said and done with, we found a way together to win. And that's all what matters, and I'll keep reiterating this. These guys have a unique chemistry. They love playing with each other and for one another, and that's what matters. Now, do not get me wrong. Everybody loves all of the numbers that are generated, but when it's all said and done with, the only thing that matters is those alphabets, because those are the things that fill those stands as well.
Eric, based on how the Ravens and the Lions sort of covered you guys in the back end, particularly trying to eliminate the deep plays, it seemed like you guys have found some remedies with multiple tight end sets. You got Deion Yelder involved last Sunday. Blake Bell, Travis Kelce played the majority of a lot of the snaps in the second half. What are you finding with the 2 tight end set or using multiple tight ends that has been effective the last couple of weeks?
Well, it's always been a part of who we are and what we've been about. But at the end of the day, you got guys that are just stepping up and just finding ways to make plays. I'll say this again: Coach Reed has done a heck of a job of hiring a number of good coaches that are smart, that understands the importance of communicating, and guys that can teach and develop young talent. So our coaching staff is doing a heck of a job. When it's all said and done with, it's our job to make sure that our players know what we know. And I think that's showing. Now, it's not always the way you design it and draw it up. It's not always perfect. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure who's ever out there, what personnel group that's out there, we go out there, we play hard, we play fast, we have a sense of urgency and a sense of purpose in everything that we do. And if we're doing that, we'll give ourselves a chance each and every week.
How did Tyreek look at practice?
You know what? He came out and he practiced. Tyreek is Tyreek. But, we'll let the training staff and the head man make that decision exactly, what's going to happen moving forward. But when it's all said and done with, our guys will be ready.
Eric, it looked like there were times on Sunday where you guys have done a great job in the past with receivers extending plays, right? Were there times on Sunday where that didn't happen, where the guys weren't extending as much as maybe they could have?
Each and every week, you want guys to catch a 5-yard route and score, because every play is designed to go for a touchdown. Hell, we got tons of them, that each and every one of them, we tell you each and every week, hey, this is a touchdown, this is a touchdown, this is a touchdown. But in reality, we still have to play the game. And then we also, we still have to give those guys credit across that are lining up against us. And our guys they're playing at an extremely high level. Is it perfect? No, it's not always perfect. All right. But at the end of the day, we want them to find ways to continue to drag themselves across the finish line. And sometimes that's just going to be a knuckle-up fight where we got to go out there and fight for every inch and every yard that we can earn.
Pat glancing back at the ref as he's on a scramble, is that just another example of how he sees the game, maybe differently than anybody else?
Well, I think the kid just has a great understanding of and a great awareness of what's going on and what's taking place throughout the entire game. That's just who he is.
Back to before when you're talking about the receivers, when you came back from Detroit, did you guys kind of go over some fundamentals of teams that really want to be aggressive at punching the ball out? Because they seemed more aggressive doing it than other teams I've seen who have tried to force turnovers. So is that something now people are going to look at in film and say they can be that physical and you have to brace for that?
Well, and I've said this before. I always talk to our players about this. Your attitude is the most outward indicator of who you are. What you put on tape is a direct reflection of who we are. We got to make sure we're doing the right things and putting the right stuff on tape. Obviously, we put the ball on the ground. That's not who we are. But we put it on there, so it is an indicator of who we are. So one thing we got to do, we got to make sure that we go back to our fundamentals. We got to protect the ball. If we protect the ball, we're giving ourselves every opportunity to win. So what does that mean? Each and every position coach are going back and making sure in our individual periods that we're covering all the bases and making sure that these guys understand the importance of 4 points of pressure. Because the last thing we want to do is give another opportunity to a team that's potentially dangerous and can put ourselves in harm's way. And the only way we can do that, take care of the things that you can control. Protect the football.
Last one.
So Eric, assuming he plays on Sunday, what are your expectations for Damian Williams?
I'll leave that up to Coach and Rick. And like I said,
I'm not asking
No.
if he'll play. If he does, what are your expectations for him?
Well, my expectation is just like anyone else. I expect these guys to go out and play hard and play fast and be at their best. That's what we expect. That's what we coach, and that's how we expect our guys to respond. And that's who they are.
Go ahead, son.
Thank you. When you're in the hurry-up offense coming down, and how do you guys divide up? Like, is somebody in charge of, reminding coach, hey, we're at this clock and we're at this? I mean, I know, we saw that shot of all, it seemed like the whole coaching staff, every offensive coach around Patrick on the sideline. When you're coming down the clock, how does it work with all the voices in the headsets and trying to be aware of all the things you have to be aware of?
Well, we have our Joe Blameyer up top, who's in direct communication with Coach and myself, and we're just constantly communicating. One thing we've learned, communication is the key to any successful relationship, and we want to make sure that we're doing a great job of over-communicating throughout the entire game, but also especially in those situations that are game-defining moments. We want to make sure that everything is being communicated the proper way. What are our choices? What are some of the things that we need to consider? So those are all the things that are taking place. And